To order. We do have a quorum, and this meeting has been posted as in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. The time is now 6:35. And at this time, if you don't mind, I'll ask you to please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you very much. At this time, Mr. Strubart, would you care to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
And thank you, Mr. President, and Dr. Cavazos, trustees, administration, audience. Helping us out this evening is the Harlingen High School JROTC with the posting of the colors. Would everyone please rise?
Forward, march! March, son! March! Condor, halt! Left, face! Present, halt!
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, halt! Right, face! Forward, march!
Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you very much. It's always good to have the ROTC here. Thank you very much. At this time, we will proceed to awards and recognition. Mr. Strubart, will you help us with a recognition of the Harlingen Lions Club, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President, Dr. Cavazos, trustees, administration, and audience. Lions Club International was founded in 1917, serving the world one community at a time. Across the globe, Lions are rolling up their sleeves and taking action. With over 1.4 million members, they are the largest service organization in the world. Their motto is, "We serve." The Lions slogan is, "Liberty, intelligence, our nation's safety," hence Lions. The Harlingen Lions Club has been servicing our community since it was chartered in 1927. Some of their community service projects include eyeglass recycling, funding of exams and eyeglasses for children, turkey baskets for the needy, donations to the Boys and Girls Club, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Literacy Center, and Blue Sunday. Also, in 2018, they helped provide Christmas gifts to students that have been displaced during Hurricane Harvey. In cooperation with HCISD, the Harlingen Lions Club has been providing scholarships for deserving seniors for more than 50 years and has been holding its annual Safety Patrol picnic for 43 years. Trustees, without a doubt, the Harlingen Lions Club has been one of the biggest contributors to the students of HCISD, and tonight we want to recognize them for their unwavering support. Mr. President, Dr. Cavazos, will you please come forward and help us with the recognition? At this time, I would like to call up the following Lions Club officers to receive a small token of our appreciation, beginning with the club president, Alex Ambriz, Vice President and Treasurer, Charlie Kidder, and Secretary, Patty Scott. Yeah, after this one, and then we'll take a group photo. At this time, I'd like to invite the rest of the club up for a group photo along with all of our trustees. Huh?
Well, we appreciate Lions Club certainly being here. Thanks for your leadership. Some of you have had several leadership positions in other boards and former mayors and things like that. So this community couldn't do it without you. I think we've always said that strong communities come together to support the public schools, and we certainly couldn't do this without you. So thanks for everything you do to inspire our kids and to help them, and we appreciate your service, and you're welcome back here every year. So thank you very much for being here. So at this time, any other board members have any comments? If not, thank you. We'll go on to our next item. Recognition of HCISD students who will be joining the U.S. military. Mrs. Trubart.
Thank you, Mr. President, trustees, Dr. Cavazos, administration, and audience. Tonight, we are recognizing students from Harlingen High School and Harlingen High School South for their decision to join the United States military. After making their mark at HCISD, these students are embarking on the next chapter in their lives with a sense of duty and service. The significance of this decision does not go unnoticed, as it will undoubtedly be a challenging, rewarding, and an exciting experience for each one of them. This nation is a land of opportunity and freedom because our nation's armed forces help make it so. So tonight, we thank and honor these young men and women for their commitment to the most honorable pursuit. Mr. President, Dr. Cavazos, would you please help us recognize these outstanding students? Former students, because they graduated already. I just start with our students enlisting in the United States Army. Now, I have to tell everyone that we actually have a pretty good list here. About 90% of these students are already off at boot camp. So let's send them our prayers. So tonight, from the Army, the only person that's still here is Jorge Ramon Claudio. Come on. I would like to ask that the U.S. Army recruiter, Sergeant Campos, to join us, and any administrators from Harlingen High School, along with our trustees, to get a group photo with our Army enlistee. Now moving on to the United States Navy. Wish I had some of the music playing whenever, Doc, you were in the Navy. I don't know if you want to hum the Navy tune here. We actually have two students here that joined the Navy, and our first student is Andrea Monique Arriaga. Be towards the back. It's gonna be at the Andrea, if you'll stand over here real quick. And our last student is Greg Martinez. then they'd be in the back, the very bottom. At this time, I'd like to ask that our U.S. Navy recruiter and former HCISD educator, Petty Officer Consiglio, to please join us for a group photo along with our trustees. Now stay there. Can we get both of you back up here? Sorry, Campos, you can be up here.
Well, we thank the students for being here, and we appreciate your willingness to serve. I know a lot of folks couldn't be here because they're already off serving, and we will send them their certificates, I'm sure. But it gives me great pleasure to see you here today because this community is so proud of you, not only what you've done here in the school district, but then also representing us as you represent our country in the Valley. You know, one of the things that a lot of employers and certainly the community sort of sometimes you know, really insist that they get when they get graduates coming out of either high school or college or any you know, and then begin a new career, a new job. They always talk about how important soft skills are, right? And that's, you know, being creative, thinking critically, being able to communicate, being able to collaborate, and certainly you are going to get all of that, and you're going to be experts at soft skills in the military. So certainly be proud that you're going to be not only servant leaders and protecting us and defending our freedoms and defending our country, but also you're going to be getting some lifelong skills that you can take whatever you do for the rest of your life. Some of you may make a career out of it, you may not. That's going to be something you'll decide in time. But we certainly appreciate your willingness to serve, and thank you for protecting us. So thank you for being here, and I don't know if any other board members have any other comments to make.
Yes, Mr.
Dr.
President,
Reininger.
I would just like to add my thanks to all of you for making a very big and important decision, but one that will positively change the course of your life. Not only, as Dr. Pettis mentioned, those soft skills, but you will be leaders. You are being put into a situation, probably the best organization in the world to train leaders. And you have such a bright future, and we're so thankful for that. Certainly the fact that you're going to be representing Harlingen, we know that you will do that with pride. And we also know that there'll be lifelong benefits for making this for making this choice. You're seeing it as an immediate choice now, but the benefits that you will have throughout your life because of the family and the relationships you build in the military is just really tremendous. So we're so thankful to you and so proud of you.
Thank you. Well, thank you. And then you got me thinking of something. I oftentimes tell folks that I'm recruiting, whether for employment, that I compare the Valley to the military, and in this respect, I think the military is someplace that you'll soon find you can have pretty quick upward mobility in your career, a lot faster than you can have in the private sector. And with that, because of the leadership skills you develop and the skills you develop and whatever rate and whatever profession you choose in the military, you can definitely have an amazing career. Now, even if you take that and go back to the private sector, I compare that to the Valley, because in the Valley, we're growing so fast, and we need young leaders like y'all to come back. And if you're here in the Valley, it's the same concept. You can have a lot quicker upward mobility in your career than if you were in suburbia of Houston or Austin or San Antonio, because there's so much competition. It's a big area. So I love what's happening in the Rio Grande Valley, and we hope that some of y'all will choose to come back at the right time, and just know that you have an amazing future here available to you with all the transformation that's going on and all the exciting opportunities and right here in the thriving Rio Grande Valley. So again, God bless you as you go off. Thank you. You know, don't forget, you represent HCISD, and protect your brand, protect your name, and don't forget that you reflect great credit on this school district and your family, certainly Rio Grande Valley and the state of Texas. And so we appreciate your service again. At this time, we'll move on to our next item, recognition of extraordinary athletic accomplishments. Mr. Luis Solorio.
Thank you, Mr. President, Dr. Cavazos, trustees, administration, and audience. Tonight, we celebrate our 2018-2019 Harlingen South Lady Hawk soccer team on their spectacular 23-win season. As a perennial powerhouse in our region, Region 4, the Lady Hawks not only broke but kicked down the glass ceiling and garnished a bi-district title, an area championship, a regional quarterfinal championship, a Sweet 16 title, and finally completed their incredible season as Region 4 runner-up. We are truly blessed to have a program that encompasses the vision, the mission, and the goals of this district to reach, to aspire, and to dare to dream. Tonight, we are here to celebrate the incredible hard work, determination, and athletic achievements of this program. Mr. President, Dr. Cavazos, if you could please come forward. At this time, I would like to call up the following student athletes to receive a small token of our appreciation. Caroline Granum. Elise Garza. Mallory Granum. Joanne Saldana. Stephanie Torres. Samantha Pitts. and Olivia Olivares. We would also like to take this time, if they could please stand, to congratulate and recognize our two varsity coaches, head coach Omar Pedroza and his first assistant and right-hand man, so to speak, Monica Silva. Woman. Yes, right-hand woman. At this time, we'd like to invite the rest of our trustees up for a group photo. That's how athletics roll. That's how we roll in athletics.
I know.
Change. Change. Oh. One remember. Yeah. No.
Everybody look at this camera first. Look at the big camera. Wait, hold on. Yeah, everybody look this way. Everyone look down here.
Senior roll screen. So we're good, right? We're good?
Yeah, we're good. Excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
I'll do it right after this, Doc, I promise.
That's fine.
Oh. No, yeah, I will.
Yeah, so I believe we have some comments. Dr. Muniz?
So, you know, this is one of the discussions I have often with other leaders and community members. And it goes back to the fact that you guys were talking about the military and how the military creates leaders. And when you look at leaders, they have, you know, similar traits. And it's wonderful to be able to see when you take students from a team, right, a team sport, you get the same type of leadership skills that you have with military. And so it's amazing that we have such amazing students tonight going into the military and also coming from a great soccer team who's done some amazing things. I mean, should be very proud of that. But you guys have a bond between you, each one of you, right, that nobody understands. You have to remember that bond, because that bond, you will use those skills again in the workplace. So I know you think it's fun and it's a lot of energy and it's exciting, but it'll happen again. It'll happen again in the workplace. So remember that and use that. And those that are going to the military, if you're still here, and I see some here still, same thing. You're going to have fun. You're going to be working in teams. You're going to be working in units, and you'll have a lot of success. So congratulations to the soccer team. Congratulations to those going in the military. These are the skills that you're going to just use for the rest of your life. Good job.
Mr. President,
Mr. Jaimes.
I'll be real quick. Our summer meetings, we were talking about this earlier, are usually our shorter ones. We don't have too many recognitions. I'm myself am happy and glad that some of our community members are here, because in just a small amount of recognitions, we got to see kind of a good dissection of our school district, from ROTC and our military students to our athletics. And there's a lot more to brag about in this school district. But I would just be reiterating what they said as far as being proud of you guys. But my main point was I just wanted to say how glad I was that some of you all from the community were here to see what we see every month when we recognize these students, and what our teachers, our administrators see every day during the school year, which is that we have a lot of great students that are ready to take on leadership roles and maybe sit up here one day.
Okay, I found this on the web on what our teachers are.
Big brother's listening. I lost my train of thought, but thank you. Oh yeah, what our teachers see every day as far as our students and the leadership skills that they have, our future leaders that are going to come back and sit on these boards, sit on city commissions, be mayors of Hardin or other communities. These are the leaders that we're building here today. So I'm proud of every one of you all, and I'm glad that we were able to recognize you tonight.
I agree, and I want to, Dr. Reiniger, did you have a comment? I'm sorry. Go for it, please.
Okay, so I wanted to just highlight that I am incredibly proud of the soccer team for obviously their athletic achievements, right? That's incredible. But also, these young women are women of character. They're high achievers in their academics. They have incredible dedication to their academics, but to each other. And it's a full package. And it's that full package that showed up game after game after game, and win after win after win. And so not only were you representing Harlingen by the wins, but by everything you bring to the table. And so we're so proud of you. And I, of course, want to call out the time and dedication of the coaches, the shepherding, the correcting, the extra effort. We truly appreciate that. We know that it's in every sport that happens, and that you're certainly not compensated financially for the coaching time in a way that probably pays lots of dividends, but the reward is that you're producing young women and young men who are achieving in multiple areas. And then I'm just going to do a shout out to all the parents who I get to sit with occasionally, and we get to cheer and shiver and sweat all of the games, because it's the parents, right, girls, that make not only the high school years possible, but all of the leading up to the success you had. It's taken lots of years to produce this particular moment in time of success. So congratulations, and thanks, parents.
Well, I'll just remind, so 2 historic things that happened at South this year. Number one is all the competitive teams, all the sports teams in District 32 6A made the playoffs. That's historic. But even more historic is being the Elite 8 in the state, and this as a soccer team. Incredible. You all should be super proud, and this is just, you're making lifetime memories here. Not too many people do this, achieve this accomplishment. So congratulations again to the soccer team. And I will, to tag on to Elalio's point, it's a great point he made about this part of the meeting, the awards and recognitions. I will remind the audience and folks out there watching TV, which I hope they watch at some point, I will remind y'all that typically this part of the meeting, and we're so proud of this, lasts about 2 hours. We have that many amazing things, and students and teachers of the year and just amazing educators and awards to recognize. And so typically we start a meeting at 6:30 and they last You can kind of do the math on this, but it typically lasts till about 8:30 every meeting, and we're super proud of that. There's so many other things that we have on our agenda, business and stuff like that, but we definitely want to give first and foremost priority to our students and the amazing accomplishments of our educators. So, in any event, with that,
And the picture frames are awesome.
That's
Thank
right,
you for the
that's right.
thank you for the memory.
I mean, that's why we're all here, to serve our students and to watch them soar and achieve amazing things. So with that, I know, Dr. Cavazos, I think you had an agenda change in store or for
Yeah.
today's meeting?
Yes, Mr. President and board members, prior to moving forward with the agenda, I'm requesting that item number 12B, which is discuss employment of principal for Harlingen High School, be withdrawn from the agenda. Staff is needing some more time on that, and so we oftentimes put things on the agenda and don't hit the mark, and so we're requesting withdrawal at this point.
Without a problem, we will make that change. At that time, at this time, we'll move on to the next item, item 3A, approval of our May 14th, 2019 regular board meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion?
I move approval of the May 14, 2019 regular board meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Reiner, second by Mr. Jaimes. Any further discussion or changes?
So who's gonna vote?
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. At this time, we'll take on item 3B, the approval of special board meeting and budget workshop on June 4th, 2019. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the June 4th, 2019 special board meeting and budget workshop.
Second. Motion, Mr. Jaimes, second by Mr. Powers. Any further discussion or changes to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously. Mrs. Sonia Brown, do we have any public comments at this time? We do not. Okay, at this time, we'll take on the consent calendar, unless any board member wishes for any item to be removed and
Okay.
dealt with separately. Do I hear a motion what's the will of the board for the consent calendar?
Mr. President, I'd make a motion for the approval of the consent calendar as presented by staff.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Manise, second by Dr. Reiniger. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously. And at this time, I am going to pass the gavel over to my trusted vice president. I think some of you all know, I've mentioned this to several of y'all, a dear family, a dear aunt of mine, Miss Maria Elida Torres, passed away, and I'm going to go attend the rosary this evening. She was herself a lifelong teacher and educator, former superintendent of Port Isabel, Point Isabel, I guess it's to be proper, Point Isabel High School. Anyway, they're celebrating her life. She's now resting in peace after a long battle, second battle with cancer, and she's done really close with the family. Her son is Dr. Ruben Torres, a dear friend of mine and my cousin. Except when I'm mad at him, then I call him my uncle. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I have to go to attend the rosary at this time, so I'm going to pass the gavel over at this time to Mr. Hyman. So thank you all very much.
We wish you well, Mr. President.
All right, so next item on the agenda is the approval of contract between Harlingen HCISD and Valley Baptist Medical Center for the OVN program for the 2019-2020 school year. Ms. Veronica Cortán? That was part of the consent?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Transform teacher.
Right, we're on to item number 6, matters related to transformation school sport. Dr. Nola?
Thank you, Mr. Jaimes, Dr. Cavazos, board members, senior team, and audience. At the June 4th Transform Teaching and Learning Committee meeting, we had 2 items that were brought forward for presentation. The first item was presented by our community engagement design team under the leadership of Brianna Vela Garcia, our marketing coordinator. At that presentation, the team shared some action ideas that they've implemented this school year and or are looking to implement in the coming school year. One of the items that they focused on that they've already implemented was an idea about how do you support the CTE academies that we have going on through our school district, and how do we enhance the work that is happening through those. So one of the action ideas that they developed was the formulation of advisory committees that would really guide the work of what happens in our CTE academies, and how do we value and really take hold of all that our community has to offer. And so these advisory committees are composed of industry professionals who advise both the teachers and the district on how we ensure that we are preparing our students adequately and appropriately for that industry. And as part of that action idea, the team also formulated an advisory committee manual that guides the work of those meetings to ensure that that meaningful work is happening and that we really are taking advantage of all that our industry partners have to offer. The third action idea actually that they brought forward also was presented by Brianna Garcia, and so she spoke about campus profiles. And so we highlight a lot of the work that happens in our school district, but one of the things that the committee wanted to highlight, or the design team wanted to highlight, was what happens at our campus level. All of our campuses are unique. They offer a lot of tremendous opportunities. So how do we highlight those things? And so what they developed was, in essence, brochures on every single campus. These brochures are going to be distributed throughout the school district. They'll be available at the administration building, parental involvement, anywhere where our parents will congregate, not just in the district, but in the community. And so that hopefully all our parents have an opportunity to see everything that's going on, not just district-wide, but at the campus level. The second presentation was conducted by Lori Romero, our Assistant Superintendent for Elementary Education, and Shannon Reyna, our Dyslexia Specialist. And so they conducted a presentation titled HCISD Dyslexia Program Next Steps. And so they talked a little bit about our 3-year journey as we have worked with NIHouse in developing our early literacy program, but also how do we improve or continue the work that we have done in our dyslexia program. And so as part of their presentation, they outlined some of the early screening that is happening to identify our dyslexia students as early as possible so we're able to address their needs, as well as how do we prepare our teachers to be able to service our students. They shared about the growth of the number of students that we have identified as dyslexic over the last 3 years. We are now at over 500 students that have been identified, from approximately about 150 to now over 500, and the various methods of high quality interventions that we are putting into place. The other item that they discussed is when we talk about professional development and how do we equip our teachers with the skill set to be able to address our dyslexic students, they also shared about some of the levels of certification that we will be bringing forth for our teachers, whether that be as dyslexia practitioners, reading therapists, and or dyslexia therapists. And then Ms. Reyna also spoke to some of the work that is happening in her area with helping our parents be able to have those skill sets and resources that they may need to be able to support their dyslexic child at home. Really great topics that we think will enhance the work and really help us in finalizing some of those specific results that we had outlined very early on in our strategic plan. So Tuesday night, Dr. Reiniger chaired our Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee, and she's also going to be the future chairperson of that committee. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her in case there's something that she would like to add.
Thank you, and thank you for the terrific summary. The Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee continues to just bring forth ideas so rapidly, but yet so well thought through. And certainly this meeting was no different. The design teams did a terrific job. I want to just point out that one of these pieces of the advisory committees and connecting them to our schools, there really is such a wealth of information when we create that connection between the community and the school leadership and the students and the whole teaching faculty. And so this manual that was brought forward really capitalizes on that and will provide the structure and the assistance to get those launched at all of our campuses. And what's so exciting about it is the level of detail in this manual to support the schools in developing these advisory committees, and numbers of tools that are there. I was, how do you assess, how do you start the agendas, what evaluation tools should you use? So it was just very carefully thought through, so I wanted to point that out. I too really am excited to see all the campus profiles materials that you mentioned. I think they're going to be a tremendous way to market our campuses and give parents an easy way to look at the many resources that are there. So that was really very exciting, and they're just beautiful. Our media and marketing group is tremendous. And then finally, what you mentioned about dyslexia obviously is just something that excites the entire board. The ideas of building out our system. We have really good programming in place, but now taking it to the next level where we have the work that Lori and Shannon presented, in particular around the elementary and secondary programming, building in at the secondary programming time within the school day, and just the attention to building systems because that means that it's not dependent on any one person, that this is a long-term change, building in a CALT, a certified academic learning therapist, into our team, and then having an on-staff diagnostician. So these are big, important steps that were brought forward, and truly commend the work and really excited about it.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Nola and Dr. Reiniger, for those comments. We'll be moving on to item number 7, matters relating to curriculum and instruction. And first item, approval of memorandum of understanding between Teach for America and Harlingen HCISD. Ms. Cortad?
Mr. Vice President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Cavazos, senior team and audience. Gives me great pleasure to be here with you all this evening to talk to you a little bit about our MOU with Teach for America. As you know, Teach for America has been a great partner to us for so many years. And so they approached us about maybe 2 or 3 months ago to ask if we would be interested in hosting teams of fellows. And so these fellows are very established students with the TFA, and they're highly, highly successful in their areas. So the MOU that we bring forward today is for you to consider the approval for that MOU that would allow us to host teams of interns here in Harlingen, CISD, and they would be working on projects that are aligned to our strategic plan. So Shane and I have been working with TFA, and if all goes well tonight, then we can move into the next phase. So there's 2 big projects that we're wanting our fellows to be working on. One of those is the finalization of the Exemplar teacher program. So if you recall, our Teachers of the Year talked a little bit about how do we retain the very best teachers in our district, and how do you leverage those individuals that are highly successful and who have maintained success for years. And so that was our Exemplar teacher program. So these fellows will come in and help us work on what that looks like in its final state. Things like creating the profile, the selection process, alongside our Director for Talent Acquisition and myself. The second project that we're wanting to work on is a K-12 coding program. And so that's going to be coming out of Shane's department, and the fellows will be working very closely with Mr. Strubhart on that, and very closely with our department on the Exemplar teacher program. And at this time, I would just like to share that the administration recommends the approval of the MOU with Teach for America for the Fellows Project. Any questions?
Do we have a motion?
I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Powers moves, Mr. De Leon second.
Thank you.
Everybody vote.
Aye.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a great night.
Thank you, Veronica. Thank you. All right, moving on to matters relating to business services. Consideration and approval to award construction services contract for the 2019 Treasure Hills Network Cabling bid number CNCP 0519. Mr. Julio Cavazos.
Thank you, Mr. Jaimes, Dr. Cavazos, board members. Agenda item 8A is consideration and approval of the network cabling for the Treasure Hills renovation. The ranking committee met and ranked the 2 proposals we received. Ranking committee is recommending the top rank offer of Kalen's Physical Security at a cost of $265,593.53. We've done plenty of work with Kalen's Physical Security in the past. We did discuss this at the facility committee meeting last week. We do recommend approval.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Mr. President, I make a motion for approval for consider and approval of the award construction service contract for the 2019 Cherry Hills Network cabling, bid CNCP 0519, as
Second the motion.
presented by administration.
Heard motion made by Mr. Leon, second Dr. Muniz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Cavazos. Moving on to matters relating to district operations. First item, approval of change order number 1 to increase the original contract sum to Ziwa Corporation for the Gutierrez Middle School Gym and Harlingen High School South Mini Gym Wood Floor Upgrades Project. Mr. Oscar Tapia.
Thank you, Mr. Interim President Jaimes, members of the board, Dr. Cavazos. This item was also discussed at the Facilities Committee meeting to add to the contract an increase to Ziwa Corporation, who's doing the South Mini Gym wood floor and the Gutierrez Middle School gym floor, to add to their contract to add a wood system floor for a dance floor at the PAC facility for the Fine Arts Conservatory program. And we did receive a cost in the amount of $28,452.23 for labor and materials. And so we would increase the contract from Ziwa from $505,000 to $533,452 with 23 cents. We worked with the project architect on this. The prices are good. They meet the specifications and the needs for the program. So at this time, we recommend approval.
I move approval of change order number 1 to increase the original contract sum to Ziwa Corporation for the Gutierrez Middle School Gym and the Harlingen High School South Mini Gym Wood Floor Upgrades Project as presented by administration.
Second.
All right, Dr. Reiniger with a motion, Mr. Powers with a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Tapia. Moving on to second item, approval of final construction payment to Alpha Building Corporation for the Vernon Middle School Courtyard and Choir Hall renovations. Mr. Oscar Tapia again.
Thank you, Mr. Jaimes. Members of the board, Dr. Cavazos, this is also was presented and discussed at the Facilities Committee meeting. We have a final payment to Alpha Building Corporation for that Vernon Courtyard and the Choir Hall renovations that we did this past year. We finally we had a little trouble getting all our closeout documents and finishing the punch list, but we're finally, all that is done is cleared. The project architects also cleared everything that was pending. So final payment requires board approval as per policy CV. So we're recommending final payment to close this project out to Alpha Corporation in the amount of $11,013.69. We recommend approval.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
All right, Mr. Powers.
Second.
Dr. Muniz, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
I don't think we're in sync on those ayes. There you go.
Aye.
All right, next item is a Facility Committee report from Mr. Oscar Tapia.
Thank you, Mr. Jaimes, Dr. Cavazos, members of the board. Facilities Committee meeting was held on June 4th. We discussed several TRE projects, including the Treasure Hills Elementary Classroom Wing addition, the progress made, all the work that's being done out at the site. And we also discussed that we're working with the project architect to start the phase 2, meeting with the school principal to go over the plans and the sequencing for the transition of phase 1 to phase 2, how we move administration, how we move the kids and all that. We're going to be continuing having those discussions and updating the board at the next meeting on where we are. We just approved the network cabling project. That was discussed also at the committee meeting. We gave an update on the security fencing work that was at the high schools. That work was continuing. The fencing mesh had been replaced with the correct grade. They're adding some additional reinforcement posts. We also discussed the commencement of the civil jobs at Kano STEM Academy and Boga Stadium. They already started the STEM sidewalks, and they're over at the stadium trenching for the relocation of that sewer line. The drinking fountain and the HVAC projects, we already got the contracts back from our attorney. Our architects are processing them with the contractors, and we ought to be seeing work here continue here in the next few weeks and getting all the submittals to the architects approved so that materials can be ordered. We're to discuss the gym floors that we're doing at South and Gutierrez. They already started work. They're coring for the volleyball sleeves. They're putting insulation down, and I believe the wood materials have already arrived as well. The wall panels, all the painting work's being done, all the prep work at several elementary schools, and they're over at Zavala and Austin now doing some paint work. So that project's kicked off. And the canopies at Zavala for the drop-off area and Harlingen High in the back by the chiller. There's a canopy going up there for the RTC to get out of the hot sun, and some other programs can use it. That one's also the contracts. We just got back from the attorney, so we're waiting for the contractor to sign them so we can start that as well. And the re-roofing project also, we got the contracts back from the attorney. We're getting them signed by the contractor. And we also discussed all the work we're doing at the World Language Academy. We're doing a lot of work with maintenance people over in the library, over in the classrooms. We're doing some asbestos abatement. We're doing some exterior painting work, clearing of the site, new air conditioning units on the library, clearing of trees. And we're also working with the architect on the entrance is going to be redesigned, a signage, a marquee, some landscaping with irrigation, and all that's going to be bid out under the architect. And we also discussed the change order that we just approved here recently and the final payment that was also approved to Alpha Construction. And then we concluded with Julio Cavazos giving an update on the financial report on all the construction projects. And that was the end of the meeting. So I can turn it over to Mr. Powers, our facilities chair, to give us an update as well. Mr. Powers?
I just want to comment on Treasure Hills. I think it's looking great, coming along. I know even despite the weather problems that we've had this year, I think the contractor's doing a great job, and I think it's going to transition well like we did with the health profession school towards the end of the year. So it really is looking great. I also want to comment on Vernon. Your staff's doing a great job, Oscar. The yard out front, or the campus looks fantastic with those old trees gone. And the stuff you're getting ready to do is really, really exciting. I would ask that, I noticed that we're projected to complete it in August. And I don't know if it's the beginning of August before our next board meeting, but I'd really like to see you set up a time where we can all go by it, maybe before one of our meetings, facilities, or at a board meeting, start a little early and go see it, because I think it's really exciting what y'all are doing. And so much of it for the audience is being done by in-house. We have so many talented people in this district that work for Oscar, and they're just doing an incredible job. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Tapia. Next up, we're going to move on to approval of school board standing committee members for the 2019-2020 school year. You received those committee assignments in your board packets, and they're in this fancy new iPads that we have here. So do we have a motion? I think Javier broke his already. But
Already.
How do you turn it on?
do you have a motion to approve these committee, standing committee
I make a
memberships?
motion, Mr. President, I make a motion for approval of the school board standing committee members for the 2019-2020.
Second.
All right, thank you, Mr. De Leon. Motion, Dr. Reiniger, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Next, we have the approval of campus assignments for board members for the 2019-2020 school year. Also, you received those. Do we have a motion to approve those?
I move that we approve the assignment as designated by our fearless leader.
Thank you, Mr. Powers. Do we have a second?
I think Belinda said.
Second.
Dr. Reiniger? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Next, we're going to adjourn to close our executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.082, the Open Meetings Act for the following purpose. Discuss employment of principal at Bowie Elementary. Discuss employment of associate principal, Harlingen High School South. Discuss employment of teachers and other professional staff. We're now adjourned.
The employment of the principal at Bowie Elementary is
As
proceeds,
recommended,
goes forward as recommended by administration.
Second. All right, Dr. Reiniger and Dr. Muniz, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to to consider employment of associate principal at Harlingen High School South.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the employment of associate principal at Harlingen High School South.
Thank you, Mr. Leon.
Second.
Dr. Muniz, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Finally, the consider employment of teachers and other professional staff.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion for the employment of teachers as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Muniz and Dr. Reiniger. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. This meeting is adjourned.